Hi there and welcome. Today we'll learn how to animate any element in JavaScript, and we can check out the end result over here. We've got an animated element that goes from right to left and flips when it reaches the end. Let's go ahead and get started. So in my project, I've got a div element with a submarine class and a submarine background, and behind it is a blue background to sort of resemble the ocean. Your element can be just about anything, like a rectangular div. You can add a background to it if you want, but go ahead and give it some sort of height and width. Now, what we're going to want to do for starters is to position that element to the bottom. So we'll add position absolute and then bottom 20 pixels. So we're 20 pixels from the bottom. Positioning it as absolute is important so that we can later animate the element using the left property. Let's move on to animating. And so we're going to want to have a script tag. Inside of the script tag, we're going to target the element. So we're going to declare a variable. I'll name it L, and then we can use query selector to target the first div. Then we can go ahead and have a variable named left position. This will be set to 0 and is going to determine how far from the left our element is. Then we'll create a function named animate L. Inside of the function, we'll increment the left position by 1. Then we'll update the left position of the element by using l.style.left. Then we'll use template literals and use left position and px to increase the left position by 1. Great, so how do we call the function? Well, we can use the requestAnimationFrame method to create an animation loop. We'll want to start an initial call of the loop, and we'll call the animateL function by passing animateL as an argument. And we want this to be a continuous animation loop, so we'll also add requestAnimationFrame inside of the animateL function to recursively call the function. This will create the animation we want, and depending on the browser, this will typically be called 60 or 120 times per second. This is known as the frame rate, or FPS. Let's go ahead and hit save. And check it out, we've got our animation. But what you'll notice is that after a while, we wander off of the page, and we don't want that. So let's stop if we reach a left position of 300. We can wrap the body of the function with a conditional of if left position is less than 300, then animate. Otherwise, do nothing. Now, if we hit save, we'll see that we can reach a certain point, but once we reach that point, then we stop. Awesome. But we also want to animate the other way. So let's animate the element back to 0. What we're going to do for starters is to remove the conditional. Next, let's add a new variable outside of the function called isDirectionRight. We'll set it to true because when we start our animation, we're moving to the right. Now, inside the function, we'll name a new variable called step. This will determine the distance we are going. Now, if we want to go to the right, the value will be 1, and if we're moving to the left, the value will be -1 because we're going the other direction. So we'll use a ternary operator to check if the direction is right. And if it is, we'll have a value of 1, otherwise we'll have a value of -1. Then instead of incrementing the left position by 1, we'll increment it by the value of step. Now we'll add in a condition to see if the left position is greater than or equal to 300, and if isDirectionRight is equal to true. If it is, then we'll go ahead and change isDirectionRight to be false. Once we've done that, let's go ahead and hit save. Now, this might take a minute to see, but once we hit a left position of 300, we'll notice that we now go the opposite direction, which is great. But once we reach 0, we continue and go off of the screen. So we're going to want to fix that. We can do this pretty easily by adding in a conditional of is left position less than or equal to 0, and isDirectionRight false? If so, then let's set isDirectionRight back to being true. Now, when we go ahead and hit save, we'll see that once our submarine reaches 300 pixels to the left, it goes back the other direction. And then when it reaches 0 pixels, it'll go back the other direction. So this is awesome, but we can take it one step further. So the direction of the element doesn't change. The submarine always looks like it's fixed to the right position, even when it goes to the left. We can flip it. To flip it, when we reach 300 pixels, we can transform the element. And we'll use the scaleX function and pass in a value of -1 to flip the element horizontally. Then, to flip it back, inside of the other conditional, we'll transform and we'll use the scaleX function and pass in a value of 1 to flip it back to normal. Let's hit save and check it out. So we'll see that once we hit a left position of 300 pixels, our submarine is going to flip directions and go the other way. So this is awesome, but we can make it a smooth transition. So let's target the element in CSS. We'll give it a transition. So let's give it a transition of 0.2 seconds. The timing function will be ease in. Then we'll apply it to the transform property. So last thing, let's also remove the red border. Then I'll go ahead and hit save, and we can check out our final product. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. I really hope to see you in the next one.